up this morning with a free market grin. Bought me some Havanas, let the
The
good
night air
times
in Myrtle
begin.
Beach hangs thick like a champagne promise that sounds good until you read a page 417 of the legislation. I'm kicked back outside with a glass of sweet citrus iced tea, sweating harder than a city councilman caught at a free market convention. My Bluetooth speaker is humming with the unmistakable voice of Rick Roberts interviewing Jim Breuer, and beside me rests tonight's co-star, the Drew Estate Deadwood Tobacco Company Dominicana Buenas Noches. And brother, this cigar looks like it was designed by a tattoo artist who got audited by the IRS and decided revenge would come in the form of exquisite packaging. The band alone deserves its own museum exhibit. There she is, the mysterious dark-haired beauty on the label, eyes like she knows exactly how many liberties you surrendered during airport security. Bright colors exploding around her like a 1977 custom van mural parked outside a biker bar that also somehow serves artisan espresso. Reds, purples, blues, yellows. The whole Deadwood line looks like the cast of a neon western saloon run by burlesque queens who all quote Murray Rothbard between dance numbers. Every cigar in the Deadwood lineup has its own lady. Crazy Alice, Sweet Jane, Fat Bottom Betty, sounding less like cigars and more like the backup singers in the greatest Southern rock band that ever got signed because they refused to use Ticketmaster. And now we've got Dominicana Buenas Noches. Good night indeed. That's either a warm farewell or what the ATF whispers before they kick in your door over a paperwork discrepancy. I fire this thing up and immediately get hit with sweet, sweet cocoa, earth, coffee, and that syrupy aroma Drew Estate does better than almost anybody. It's like if a dessert cart and a motorcycle rally had a baby. The smoke rolls out thick and fragrant, drifting through the evening while Jim Breuer is on the speaker talking about life, comedy, freedom, and the insanity of modern culture. And I'll tell you something. Jim Breuer may genuinely be one of the last mainstreamish comedians with enough backbone left to tell the mob to pound sand. A lot of comics today walk on stage like hostages reading from ransom notes. Jim Breuer walks out like a guy who still remembers America used to laugh before everybody became volunteer compliance officers for the Ministry of Feelings. Tomorrow, he'll be at the Carolina Opry for the Find the Funny tour. And yes, I looked at the VIP packages online like a teenager staring through the window of a Ferrari dealership. You know the fantasy. You're backstage with Jim Breuer. Maybe there's a catered tray of mini cheesecakes nobody's touching because comedians survive entirely on black coffee and unresolved trauma. Maybe you shake hands and tell him, Jim, thank you for reminding America that humor doesn't require governmental approval. But then somehow you end up discussing cigars, classic rock, and why every federal agency sounds like a rejected heavy metal band. Ladies and gentlemen, opening tonight, the Bureau of Land Management! And the crowd goes wild. Smoke machines activate. Someone on the front row loses their farming permit. Now, here's the thing about cigars and comedy. Both operate best without central planning. The best comedians say dangerous things. The best cigars take risks. Nobody ever smoked a legendary cigar and said, You know what this needs? More committee oversight. Imagine if cigars were designed by the DMV. Sir, before lighting this premium hand-rolled Dominican cigar, you must complete forms 11B through 47C and watch a mandatory educational film narrated by a woman who has never experienced joy. No, thank you. The Buenas Noches burns slow while the tea cuts through the sweetness perfectly. That citrus edge mixes with the tobacco like summer evenings and an old AM radio station. Somewhere in the distance, a motorcycle growls down the boulevard. Myrtle Beach at night always feels like America trying to remember itself. And the Deadwood ladies on those bands, they're basically the anti-bureaucrat. Bright, wild, memorable, impossible to standardize. Exactly the kind of thing some regulatory board would hate because nobody held a focus group about it. You can almost picture a marketing executive pitching the Deadwood line. So what's the target demographic? Yes. And somehow it worked. That's capitalism at its finest. No spreadsheets, not consultants, just somebody saying, what if we made cigars feel like outlaw comic books? Approved. That's the entrepreneurial magic right there. The farther into the cigar I get, the more the richness deepens. Coffee notes start elbowing their way forward. Little peppery hints come in. The smoke gets creamy enough that you almost expect Frank Sinatra to emerge from the shadows demanding a bourbon. Instead, I've got sweet tea, which honestly feels more Southern libertarian in a way. Nothing says, leave me alone and let me enjoy my evening, like iced tea and a cigar on your own property. That's the real American dream. Not 12 streaming subscriptions and a smart refrigerator spying on your leftover potato salad. Just peace, quiet, smoke curling into the night sky, and the freedom to think your own thoughts. Jim Breuer understands that energy. He belongs to that endangered species of entrepreneur and entertainer who still seems like an actual human being instead of a corporate HR training video with sneakers. And courage in comedy matters because humor is one of the last places where truth can still sneak past the defenses. A joke can cross borders, and editorial never could. That's why authoritarians always hate comedians first. Tyrants can survive criticism. They can't survive ridicule. That's why every liberty movement in history eventually develops humor. It's spiritual guerrilla warfare. And tonight, this cigar feels kind of like part of that rebellion. The Dominicana Buenas Noches isn't refined in a tuxedo and yacht club way. It's defined in a custom hot rod parked outside the blues bar way. It has personality, and personality is becoming contraband in modern society. Everything now gets flattened into algorithms. Music, movies, news, politics, dating, sandwiches. We're one app update away from government-approved flirting licenses. Citizen, your compliment lacked inclusivity metrics. Denied. Meanwhile, the Deadwood cigar ladies are over there laughing in neon colors saying, "We don't care, we have another smoke." And that's art. And yes, somewhere deep down, I'm still imagining the VIP experience tomorrow night at the Carolina Opry. Maybe front row seats, maybe a meet and greet. Maybe Jim does 20 minutes riffing about aging rock fans and overmedicated suburbanites. I'd probably walk away grinning like I just won a tax refund lottery. But honestly, this moment right here isn't bad either. Night air, good cigar, funny conversation on the speaker, sweet citrus tea, and enough freedom left in America for a man to sit outside and enjoy all three. That's worth appreciating because freedom rarely disappears all at once. It usually vanishes one reasonable policy at a time until eventually you need a permit to own a lawn chair. So tonight, we resist the only way sensible people can, by laughing loudly, smoking slowly, and refusing to let Miserable control freaks determine whether joy is still legal. Buenas noches, indeed. That, my folks, has been Liberty on Nicotine. If you want to hear more Liberty content and other podcasts, go to libertycrackmedia.com.
Let the good times begin. No taxman's hand in my tobacco affair. Just liberty on nicotine floating through the air. Liberty on nicotine rolling through my veins. Government can't touch my Cuban gold chains. Humidors stocked with the fruits of my trade. Freedom and cigars, best pair ever made. Gold standard wrappers, aged to perfection. No FDA meddling with my selection. Supply and demand keeps my stash running right, while bureaucrats puff on their cheap oversight. Liberty on nicotine rolling through my veins. Government can't touch my Cuban gold chains. Humidors stocked with the fruits of my trade. Freedom and cigars, best pair ever made. Light up the torch of free enterprise. Watch regulation go up in smoke before your eyes. Every puff's a protest, every ash a decree. Let the invisible hand roll one for me. Seal up the cedar, turn the lock with a grin. Another day lived where the free market wins. Liberty on nicotine, ain't it a sight when men and their stogies are left